You want to see a few options on how to pay less for your mortgage and your interest that you're paying over the life of the loan? I'm Scott, the home loan guy. I'm going to show you a couple tricks. So I've been in the business for about 20 years, and over that time, it's interesting. People want to always have the lowest interest rate possible, and the reason they want the lowest interest rate is they want to pay the least amount of interest you can. And there's only a few different things you can do. There's not a lot, but some of the things you can do are very powerful. People talk about making biweekly payments, making extra payments, and how that works. And the big idea is people don't understand the power of just a little bit can actually go a long way. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to actually figure out if paying off your house a little early is feasible for you, if it's in your budget, if it's in your wheelhouse, and how to just kind of get an idea of what that actually looks like and why you should do it. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you over to this website that I like to use. This is calculator.net. It's a free website. I just use this one. It's an easy one. It has a ton of great calculators. So if you just go to calculator.net and then go over here in the search and type in payoff. It's a payoff. Mortgage payoff calculator is the one you're looking for. And this is it's an easy to use, very intuitive for the most part. Great way to get some feedback on if it makes sense to make extra payments to pay towards your mortgage, to pay it off a little bit early. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through a couple scenarios. If you have questions on how this works and you wanna reach out, feel free to let me know. I'm just gonna break it down. So let's say you got your house, a couple of years ago, you've been in it for a little while and you wanna start getting aggressive. Maybe you've got a good low interest rate and you really wanna pay that thing off and see what it looks like. So let's say you got a $400,000 mortgage on a 30-year loan, and maybe you did it a few years back and you're at 3.5% interest rate. Maybe you're even lower than that. If you got it around that time, it's maybe you've had it for 4 years. Or remaining term would be 26 years, right? So we're going to say what your normal repayment schedule looks like. We'll calculate that. So what this shows is what you normally would pay for that mortgage for your principal and interest payment, how much in total payments, your remaining amount of payments, your remaining amount of interest, how much this loan is going to cost you over the life of the loan. And one of the things I really like is this little chart here. What it really shows is how with the mortgage over time, you're eventually going to pay less and less in your monthly payment. Your payment doesn't change, but how much goes towards interest and how much is going towards paying down the balance, how over time it takes, in this particular scenario, it takes, we're looking at 16, 17 years before you're at this position where you're paying more towards the balance than you are in interest. So it takes a little while to get there. But what I really like to show is the power of how this can really increase. So right now you've got 26 years left. You're chipping away at your mortgage. You're paying $17.96 per month on this 3.5% interest rate. Good for you. You're kicking butt. So let's say you can kick in an extra $250 per month. So every month you're going to bump your payment to $17.96. You're going to just bump it up by an extra $200. And let's calculate and see what that does. So all of a sudden now you've paid off your loan 21 years and 3 months. So you've now cut off 4 years and 9 months early. So you're now chipping away and paying it off faster, but you also just saved $38,000, almost $39,000 in interest. So you've paid off your house faster. You've paid less interest. So you're kind of lowering your interest rates. One of those things is people always ask me about buying down your interest rate. Well, don't buy down your interest rate. Just pay towards your more principal and you almost offset your interest rate. You can pay quicker. So this is where it really starts getting powerful. If you can just bump up your payment, let's say $400 a month, it all of a sudden just keeps compounding. All of a sudden now we're 6 years and 9 months earlier and saving $55,000 of interest. So of course, the big key on this is you have to be in a position where you can send extra money towards that mortgage payment. Now, if you're sitting on a ton of credit card debt, if you're sitting on a ton of other just life instances that are causing you want to get all that taken care of first, right? You never want to start paying more towards this if you can't afford and you're sitting on a ton of debt. You need to get rid of all that high interest credit card debt first. So do that. And then once you're in a position where your credit cards are all under control, then you can start throwing more at the mortgage and how quickly this can really, amplify how fast you're paying off this. So, with this extra $400 a month, you paid 22% less in interest, your payroll, you paid it off 26% faster. I mean, these are huge numbers that really can help solidify that it makes sense to add any extra, even if it's, $50 a month. Let's say you can't do months. I don't have a ton of extra money. At $50 a month, all of a sudden you saved yourself $9,300 in total interest, and you paid off your loan 1 year faster. So Every little bit helps. You save 4% in interest, 4% faster. Every little bit's a good thing for sure. Now, the other side of this I always like to talk about is people right now that are buying. Maybe you're trying to buy a house right now, and you're trying to buy a house at, things have become more expensive. Let's just say $550,000 house. It's a 30-year loan, and maybe interest rate right now, we are at the end of April here. I'm just going to say 7.25 roughly on the interest rate on a 30-year loan, right? So if we're just doing that, you just want to kind of get an idea what that payment is. You're looking at $3,700 a month, right? So now we're in a position where you're going to pay about $800,000 of interest because of that high interest rate. Now, the expectation is we're going to be in a position, hopefully, to refinance down the road. But what if we're not? What if we're not able to, but you're sitting in a strong financial position? And let's say you just bump this up to $300 extra a month. So you're paying about $4,000, just a little over $4,000. What does that do? All of a sudden now, that extra $300 you've lowered down and paid off, resulting almost $200,000 less in interest. That's huge, right? You've paid off the mortgage 6 years faster, and you've saved 21% faster, 25% less on interest just by bumping up $300. So if you're in a position where you can do an extra, let's say $700 a month, you can really start seeing how this really starts compounding and adding in. Now you've paid off your loan in 19 years. You've saved almost $336,000 of interest by just bumping your payment up from $3,700 to let's call it $4,500 a month. You're in a position where all of a sudden now you're really slapping down that balance real quick. The other thing I love the idea is I get a lot of clients that call me up and say, you know what, I get a big bonus once a year. I'm able to throw $15,000 one time per year. You can see how that actually can help as well, right? If you're throwing a big lump sum once a year, every year, all of a sudden you can pay this whole thing off a lot faster. So this is a huge resource that people need to understand and use, and it's pretty easy to play with. It even makes sense if there's some options in here to look at debt consolidation, how rolling in high interest credit card debt into maybe even a higher interest mortgage loan can actually help pay off all that debt faster and pay less interest overall. There's definitely lots of options in there. If you've ever thought about just different ways and you want to run numbers on how to save a little bit more money on your mortgage every month, in the long term, right? The long-term savings really can add up by adding on those extra principal and interest payments. Feel free to reach out. Happy to run numbers with you. Play with this calculator. Let me know what kind of savings you're seeing and if you're seeing some long-term savings out there that can help you and your family. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I'm Scott, the Home Loan Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.